Putin's invasion continues driving people from Ukraine.
Fleeing on foot, suitcases and small children in their arms.
Where will they go? Some want to come to America. But doing that legally is hard. A complex system determines which people get in the shortest line. But
the line is broken.
Reason magazine editor Matt Welch points out that although President Biden says
we've also will welcome 100,000 Ukrainians to the United States,
he could take more.
He could snap his fingers and make it 250,000 if he chose to do that.
America once took more refugees and should now, he says, because
we're a refugee country, and the people who come here tend to be the best.
Also might be some of the worst.
But they just aren't. We measure this stuff.
It's natural to worry about people coming here. Will they be good neighbors or criminals? The data do show that the vast majority of refugees who come to America make America better.
I mean, even the worst of the worst case, which is maybe the Mariel boat lift from Cuba.
When Fidel Castro opened his jails and let more than 100,000 Cubans, some of them criminals, flee to America.
With one fell swoop, he rid Cuba of thousands and thousands of undesirables. Murderers, thieves, perverts, prostitutes put aboard boats bound for Miami.
Castro assumed they'd cause problems in America.
And that was wrong. It turns out that they enriched Miami.
I love freedom.
They added to the economy and they didn't detract from the people who lived there.
Immigrants helped America even when we took in people who we once tried to kill.
We share the same values, the same dream.
Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter both took the lead internationally of saying, we're going to take you from Cambodia, from Vietnam. You could think, hold on, we're bringing in spies, we're bringing in terrorists, we're bringing in bad people.
Yet campaigning for the presidency, Reagan said, immigrants make us better.
Through this golden door has come millions of men and women.
He was bragging on this as a conservative and American value. It is no longer a conservative value.
No. And conservatives give reasons why today's immigrants may not share our values.
Things can turn overnight when you're bringing in these masses of people from very, very different cultures and make it a hate crime to ask them to assimilate.
They would leave tracks in the data if this is true.
What about crime?
They commit far less crime than native-born Americans.
People worried that refugees from Afghanistan would commit crimes. And in fact,
in 2017, 127 per 100,000 Afghan immigrants were locked up.
Which sounds terrible if you don't know that native-born Americans are jailed at 10 times that rate.
It's hard for us to process that fact. It just seems wrong. It feels like it should be wrong, but it isn't. The people who go to the lengths to get to this country, they tend to be less criminal than the native-born population.
Still, even if most immigrants are good people thrown into terrible circumstances, why is it our job to try to help so many of them?
When Republicans express skepticism about Ukraine policy, often the first thing they say is, well, why should we care about Ukraine when we have a crisis on our border?
Why should we?
It's possible to care about two things at once.
Border arrests have soared to an all-time high.
Welch points out that America's immigration restrictions create many of the problems at the border, kind of like Prohibition once did.
We've made getting into the country so difficult that the only way to do it is illegally.
Foreigners sneak into America because there's almost no legal way for them to come here to work.
We've created a prohibition problem.
To come here and work in an entry-level job with government permission could take someone 100 years.
And we have a labor shortage, the likes of which we haven't seen in a really, really long time right now. So we need people to work.
What if they just feed off welfare?
Well, then they would be the exception and not the rule.
Immigrants overall are less likely to collect welfare than native-born Americans. Still, many people watching big numbers of some refugees arriving feel threatened. Polish people objected when Syrian refugees came to Poland. But now that it's Ukrainians arriving,
doors and hearts are wide open.
Poles who've taken in entire Ukrainian families.
Some in the media suggest that's racism.
maybe it is racism, but also maybe when someone you can speak a common language with and have a common history with and lives right next door, it's just a different story than someone who doesn't.
Donations are flooding in, volunteers offering help.
Can we spare a moment and say they've just assimilated in Poland an astonishing number of refugees, and they're not in like tents and camps shivering in the countryside. They're staying with people in their apartments. That's an amazing thing.
Soon more refugees will come to America, and we should let more in.
It's something that we should do more of because we're really good at it.
As long as people are peaceful, let them come.
They came in U.S. with no English, no knowledge of any culture, $50 in my pocket, and I survived.
Immigrants like this truck driver make America better.
That's the story about America.
I'm glad you watched this video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell to make sure you get the next one.